So I am still here, just deep in this whole show prep process. I thought I'd just do a quick check-in with you guys and let you know what's going on. So as you know, I was in Maine and I was having a lot of fun. Actually, this whole summer I've had a really good time just making videos and not thinking about, not worrying about producing, gallery-worthy paintings or whatever. Just painting when I could and when it worked out with the videos and stuff like that. So had a great time, was really getting into the creative process of making the videos. When I first started out making videos, it was kind of more tutorial and informational, but I kind of got burnt out on that pretty quickly. If you're a creative person, an artist or whatever, it's like you're gonna have to find the art in it to make it interesting. And I realized that it is a very creative process making videos, more like the vlogs and more things where I'm including scenery and stuff like that. So I really got into that process this summer, and I was making a lot of videos. I used to think, I'd make, when I first started, I was like, I'll do one a week. But, sometimes I was putting one up every day. And I feel like that's a really great way to grow as a creative, as a creative person in whatever you're doing. If you're painting, do it every day. If you're making music, make it every day. Videos, whatever. And I felt like I was really into the process and was growing and had a lot of ideas. And then reality hit. I came home from Maine and I started looking around and I was like, okay, how many pieces do I have that are ready to go for this show, which opens October 11th, I believe, San Francisco. I'll give details in the coming a week or so. I'll give all the details. But and to give you an idea, this is a big show. This will be my 5th year in a row. I do one every fall at Studio Gallery in San Francisco. And this is kind of my big show of the year, really. And so what does that mean? So there's like 40 to 50 paintings. They all have to be new paintings, nothing I've shown there before. And they range in size from, like, in this particular show, maybe like an 8x10. There's only a couple little pieces, and then they go all the way up to, say, 3 feet by 3 feet, or I've got one in this show that's 3 foot by 5 feet. And so I started looking around at what I had, and I thought, I've got a lot of work to do in a short time to do it. And so I just started immersing myself in that process, and I just couldn't, the idea of making videos, I just thought, I have to focus on this right now, and I'll get back to videos. And every day would go by and I'd think, okay, well, maybe I'll just do a sit-down video. But to be honest, I was kind of freaked out a little bit, like, okay, I've really got to get this figured out, and I got to get it, because this is how I make my living. It's like the videos, there's a few people that, I have some people that contribute on Patreon, which is much appreciated, but in reality, the videos don't really make any money, which is fine. I love making them. And so, yeah, there's a link to Patreon down below if you want to pitch in a few bucks or whatever. But these shows and painting is how I earn my living. And so, like, I was into these videos and I'm not thinking about, oh yeah, okay, like, dude, you've got to, and so the bank account again is going down and down. I'm like, oh crap. Anyway, so, and on top of that, I have this obligation. I love the gallery I show with. I consider them like family. They're great friends, and I've been there for 10 years, and so there's this obligation too that it's like, I want to deliver the best show that I possibly can, and I want it to be better than last year. And so that's where I was at when I got home from Maine. It was like, okay, I'm gonna look around and see what I've got and kind of assess the situation. It was like, all right, I gotta really get to work here. So that's what I've been doing. I've been like in the studio every day, like 7 days a week. And so my routine is I wake up usually around like 7:30 or 8 o'clock. Usually I'll have like breakfast, and then I'll go back and maybe read for a little bit and sometimes fall back asleep. And then around 10, I'll get back out of bed and then have like some coffee and a banana and a little bit of dark chocolate, maybe if I'm in the mood for that, some fruit, whatever. And then it's like get to work. So head out to the studio and start working. And so the process on the large pieces is, I like to work alla prima. Like, I like to do paintings all in one go if I can do it. And so these large pieces, like the 3 foot by 3 foot cityscape, let's say, there's a lot of complexity in that. So the way I approach it is, I first come up with a composition. So I will, on my computer, I'll look through the photographs I've got, and I'll see, okay, if there's anything that really grabs me. And then I'll kind of play around with the composition. So then I'll get my composition, I'll have it on my computer. And the computer's out in the studio next to the easel. So I'll put the image up. And then the next step is to sketch out in burnt sienna, as I always do, just like when I'm out doing plein air painting. So step 2, sketch it out, and I just do a kind of rough sketch, mapping out, like, say, where the buildings are, where the streets are, maybe where some of the lines in the street are, the cars, just sort of basic blocky sort of sketch, as you've seen me do probably, you know, 100 times on my videos, maybe less, I don't know. But so once I get it mapped out, then and sometimes that sketch can take, you know, maybe an hour. With a large painting, maybe an hour and a half. Whereas when I'm out, you know, painting in plein air, I may spend 5 minutes on a sketch. Maybe if it's complicated, 15 minutes. That's pretty rare. It's just, but on a larger painting, it seems like there's just more detail. Like, so in other words, I may have my big shapes on a large canvas, but each of the, like, let's say I've got a group of buildings to the right, a group of buildings to the left, the road up the middle, and then the sky. Now, each one of those big shapes, like say the buildings on the right, now that has to all be broken down into smaller shapes. The road has to be broken down. Maybe there's cars on the road. So, you know, you've got your big shapes, and then you break those big shapes down into smaller shapes. So anyway, once I get that mapped out, then a lot of times I'll be like, all right, that's it for the day on that, and I'll go work on something else, like building frames or whatever. And then the next morning I'll come out and I'll try to do the whole painting, you know, lay on all the color and finish the painting in one go. And this is a big question I get when I post on Instagram. It's like, wow, how long did it take you to do that? So for the big paintings, like a 36 by 36, it can take anywhere from, like, let's say I spend an hour on the sketch or an hour and a half, let's say 2 hours with like working out a composition on the computer and then sketching it out. Let's say about 2 hours for that. And then the next day I will, I'll lay in the color and try to do the whole thing. And I'll take it as far as I possibly can. And that might be 4 hours. I might spend 4 hours doing that. And sometimes I'll just go straight. Sometimes I'll take a break and then go back to it. But usually I like to just keep going. And then I set the painting aside, let it dry. And then I'll come back and not look at it for a week. And then I'll come back and I'll like do little, you know, fix up, do some details on it and kind of see what it needs to, see what I need to do to kind of fix things that bother me. So that's been the process. And it's just been almost every day. So now I have all the big work, and I've sent in the photographs, and I'd show you that big work, but you know, there'll be a big reveal at the gallery, and I'll show you all those pieces. If you look at my Instagram, which is also it's at Chamberlain Paintings, most of the paintings have been posted like after I've done the first pass. I'll probably be posting like the total final pictures at some point too. I can talk about some of the anxiety that large paintings produce. Sort of, I think when you're painting for a show or you're painting for a specific reason, there's always anxiety involved in that because there's expectation. And normally when I go out and I do plein air painting and I don't have a deadline to deal with, then there's no expectation. I'm just out having fun. And you know, I'd say like probably a third of those paintings turn out to be like pretty good, like I could put them in a gallery, you know, maybe with some minor fix-ups. But when I'm doing the large pieces, it's like these are meant for a show, so there's that expectation, like I've got to get these pieces done, I've got to get the key pieces finished here, and they've got to be good. And so that can produce some anxiety. And I find that the only way really to get over that is to spend less time thinking about it and more time in the studio just going for it. And in the past, I would spend time, like I'd wake up and then I'd be kind of putting it off, and I'd be thinking about it and anxious about it or whatever. But every time I go out there and I attack the problem, you know, and get into it, it's fine, you know, and so it's all just for nothing, the worry or the anxiety about it. And again, the anxiety is, am I going to produce something that's worthwhile, or am I going to waste 3 days on something that I can't use? So, you know, and again, if I gave myself some more lead time, I wouldn't feel that kind of pressure. But on the other hand, the pressure has made me produce some good work. So it's kind of a toss-up. Anyway, I don't want to be too long-winded here, but that's kind of my process for the show. You know, I'll get the big pieces done, and then I will start looking through all of my, you know, boxes and piles of paintings that I've done throughout the last, say, 6 months, and kind of see, you know, see which ones I can touch up and use for the show, and then kind of get an idea of the overall show and sort of think, okay, well, what sort of small paintings or smaller paintings do I need to fill out the gaps? So yeah, so that's what I've been doing every day, 7 days a week. Don't even leave the house except to get groceries. Haven't talked to anybody. That's one thing for you people who are thinking about being a serious artist. It's like there's a lot of alone time, you know. It's like, and I'm a pretty social person. Like, I like to be around people. I like to talk to people. So that's kind of a big shift for me when I'm prepping for a show. But I feel like it's necessary for me to just cut out everything and just really focus. So I'm excited about going and doing more plein air videos and more just sort of adventure videos, exploring different places and the artistic potential in those places. So that's the scoop. That's what I got for you guys. I will try to check in, and if I get things under control here, I'm dying to get back out and paint on location. It's really hard being stuck in the studio. I'm digging it, and I'm happy with what I'm coming up with, but I really want to get back outside. So so that's the scoop. Thanks for hanging out, guys, and I will see you in the next video.